Thank you, Wendy, for moderating our discussion today. Thank you, Tony and Paul, for joining us. We're very excited to bring this to people who might be interested in how to apply this. We were privileged in having 8 years to work with the District of Columbia government and the George Washington University as part of a program we were leading to teach high potential leaders how to use Lean Six Sigma, the methodology, in a real live way in the government. And as part of this, they not only executed a project that delivered real results, but they also received their Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification. And two of our best are joining us today to tell you about their experience. What we found in applying this to the government is not only could we see big results delivered, the group came up with more than $65 million in savings and identified more to go after, but also it enables the team to let the money, or I guess have the money that they're already responsible for using to provide services go farther. So they were able to give more benefit, expand the benefits that residents were able to benefit from. And the other thing is it improves the relationships between vendors of the city and key partners like development companies and businesses that help the city to thrive. So for all these reasons, it's been very impactful. And the reason the methodology, I think, works so well, and particularly in government, is it requires a team first to understand who are the customers of their agency or their process, and then develop measurements around the things that are important to their customers. Frequently, we would find that key processes weren't being measured. So a benefit of the project was providing transparency. For example, sometimes there are legal mandates that processes must occur. There's one that we worked on within 120 days. If you're not measuring that, you don't know whether you're actually meeting that or not. So that's the first step, is to develop a measurement to know how you're performing. And then the next one is to take a look at what are the significant root causes that are driving that performance, and attack those root causes with solutions that you pilot and you evaluate how well they're working. And once you learn from that pilot, then you continue to implement on a broader scale, taking those learnings to continue to drive improvement. And the project's finalized when you put a control plan in place that allows the group to continue measuring and continue driving better results. Why it's a little bit unique in government, a couple of things we saw. The first is that in government, unlike maybe other environments, there are significant changes that occur with elections, and new administrations will come in. Previously to our program, what would frequently happen is that people would be in a lull or a wait period for maybe 6 months while they tried to figure out if their initiative was really going to be important to the next administration or not. But when you use Lean Six Sigma, which forces you to focus on customers and results and performance, that really requires you to keep paying attention to those things. And we found that the new administration, when they came in, was even more appreciative of having data about how well that performance was going. The other benefit is that often the opportunities that we worked on were big, huge problems that had been complained about for years, but people didn't really know how to attack it. The Lean Six Sigma approach requires you to scope something that you can actually work on in a 4 to 6 month period of time so that you can have impact. And we found that enabled groups to make progress, have confidence, and go tackle the next thing. So once you learn Lean Six Sigma, you keep using it again and again because you know it works. And that's why we're excited to bring two of our best to you today, Tony Young and Paul Shaw, and I'll let them talk about how they're still using this in their own agencies and what impact they're seeing.
All right, thank you, Susan. I'd like to start with you, Tony. Can you tell us how you use Lean Six Sigma in your role in implementing a new vendor invoice system that required weekly payments while an extra process step in the grant management system?
Yes, Wendy. I was challenged with implementing the city's new invoicing system within the Department of Health, the HIV/AIDS administration. We had less than 5 months to make this happen. The new model required that the vendors submit invoices directly into the accounts payable system, rather than having those invoices pre-processed and submitted by agency analysts. The primary intent was to avoid costly interest payments due to the district's Quick Payment Act. This change was particularly impactful for the administration of grants, of which HIV/AIDS Administration served as a pass-through entity for about $80 million of federal funds. It was one of the larger agency portfolios in the district. DOH had previously developed and was actively using a specialized application which required those invoices first to be entered into the system so that categorization of detailed expenses and forecasting is done so that there's compliance and no federal grant lapse. I employed the Six Sigma DMAIC methodology and the threats and opportunities matrix to define the new requirements and also evaluate current processes. My team identified the risks and prioritized the areas to work on. We work with other agencies within the Department of Health so that we included their requirements around grant reporting as well, and how our systems, staffing, and vendor activities would need to change to optimize the use of both systems. Once the issue was clearly defined and the implications of the change were quantified, we established a change imperative that supported the system and the operational and vendor changes that needed to take place. We also developed enhanced communication and training tools to formalize the processes, and we implemented not only system processes, but also manual processes that allowed us to move the invoices through that grant management system and into the new accounts payable system while we were building automated fixes. We also measured our cycle time and other indicators to make sure that the process was working, and we made the changes as we moved along. Using the principles of Lean Six Sigma, we rapidly developed a revised system and set of processes that bridge the grant pre-approval and invoice submission and payment activities. Although I've moved on to another agency at this point and have a different role, that process is still in place over at the Department of Health. And overall, it served as a model for implementing other rapid changes within the agency in light of changing circumstances.
Well, thank you, Tony. That sounds like an awesome project and what you did. Can you just explain the impact that the process had in the Office of the Chief Financial Officer and Department of Disability?
Sure. Well, over at DOH and HIV, what we did was we avoided possible interest charges, again, on $80 million worth of grants, as well as made sure that that portfolio remained in compliance with federal guidelines. We also continued to use our grant management system, which we had invested heavily in. So in essence, there were no throwaways as a result of that. I think a couple of other things are that the invoices that were then processed through the grant management system into our citywide system were done in a way where it was seamless to the vendors. And then also we saw that the success of this process is replicable. And I think that's a very important piece of it. This approach was being, again, considered by other changes that the agency wanted to make, and it was using this as a template to then be able to apply to other problems that the agency might have.